Vaishnava Thakur Duyara Sagara Edase Karuna Kori Oh hey Vaishnava Thakura Doyara Sagara Edase Karuna Kori Diha Padachaya Shodo Heyamaya Tomara Charanadori Diya Padachaya Shodo Heyamaya Tomara Charanadori Jaya Begadomi Jaya Dosha Shori Jaya Guna Deho Dase Jaya Begadomi Jaya Dosha Shori Jaya Guna Deho Dase Jaya Begadomi Jaya Dosha Shori Jaya Guna Deho Dase Jaya Begadomi Dosha Shori Jaya Guna Deho Dase Jaya Satsanga Deho Heyamare Boshe Chisangera Arshe Jaya Satsanga Deho Heyamare Chisangera Arshe Jaya Satsanga Deho Heyamare Boshichi Sangera Ashe Jaya Satsanga Heyamare Boshichi Sangera Ashe Ekaki Ama Nahi Pai Bolo Harinam Sankirtane Ekaki Amara Nahi Pai Bolo Ekaki Amara Nahi Pai Bolo Harinam Sankirtane Ekaki Amara Tumi Kripa Kori Shudha Bindu Diya Deho Krishna Namadane Tumi Kripa Kori Shudha Bindu Diya Deho Krishna Namadane Tumi Kripa Kori Shudha Bindu Diya Deho Krishna Namadane Tumi Kripa Kori Krishna se tomara, Krishna dite para, tomara shakti ache. Krishna se tomara, Krishna dite paro, tomara Krishna se tomara, Krishna dite paro, tomara shakti ache. Krishna se tomara, Krishna dite paro, tomara shakti ache. Hami to kangala, Krishna Krishna bole, tai tava pache pache. Amito Kangala, Krishna Krishna bole, tai tava pache pache. Amito Kangala, Krishna Krishna bole, tai tava pache pache. Amito Kangala, Krishna Krishna bole, tai tava pache pache. Tai tava pache pache. Tai tava pache pache. Oh hey, Vaishnava Thakura, Doyara Sagar, Edase Karuna Kori. Oh hey, Doyara Sagar, Edase Karuna Kori. Hey, Vaishnava Thakura Doyara Sagara, Edase Karuna Kori. Hey, Vaishnava Thakura Doyara Sagara, Edase Karuna Kori. Diya Pada Chaya, Shodo Heya Maya, Tomara Charana Tori. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Haridas Thakur ki jai. Oh hey Vaishnava Thakur ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Hey Dase Karuna Kori. Hey Dase Karuna Kori. Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Timrandasya Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobistam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuttapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha. I will just go on. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you for coming this morning to again give us this opportunity to hear about, remember, and pray to, beg for his mercy, the lotus feet of Srila Haridas Thakur. By your mercy and by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we have a little opportunity to delve into the unlimited, immeasurable, unfathomable pastimes and teachings of Haridas Thakur, who, as we mentioned a little bit yesterday, Haribol. Like we used the word, a few words we used. One of them was bridge. We could say gateway. We could use many terms. They're not applicable in the absolute sense in one. We could say, but in another sense, to bring us from where we are to where we should be aimed. So that bridge which crosses over from one side to the other. He's teaching us through the methodology, even in our chanting, where we can cross that bridge. It seems like a long bridge, doesn't it? I don't know what the longest bridge in the world is, but it's nothing compared to this one. Longer than the bridge over to Lanka. But it doesn't have to be. But it sometimes seems like that. The bridge to Lanka was very powerful, very big. And he's made this very possible. By his grace, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, we heard how he was empowered by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu yesterday as a Namacharya. Of course, none of these personalities are ordinary conditioned souls of our kind. They're eternal associates of the Lord who appear with the Lord to fulfill his various missions. And in this particular case, the mission of Lord Chaitanya, what was his mission? What was Lord Chaitanya's mission? Spread the holy names and also, pardon? Inundate the world with love of God and also, what else? Pardon? To taste that love of Radharani. He was anchoring for that. That was his primary reason for coming. And we heard yesterday how no one other than Haridas Thakur is the prime. He's the prime devotee to explain the Rasa Shastras of all the various four relationships, positive relationships with the Lord in Goloka Vrindavan. So he's not just somebody who's come to help spread the Yuga Dharma, which in of itself is way beyond our understanding. We may like or not like, but it's totally spiritual in its every respect. But it's also to reveal these confidential truths of Lord Chaitanya's appearance in this world. Why other did he associate? Why, when Rupa and Sanatana Goswami would go to Jagannath Puri, where did they stay? Where did they stay? Rupa and Sanatana, when they went to Jagannath Puri. They visited Lord Chaitanya sometimes in Puri. Where do they stay? They stayed with Haridas Thakur. Are they going to stay with Haridas Thakur if they're not Sujati, if they're not of a similar disposition? They associated together in Puri, discussing these intimate or loving relationships. And this there where Rupa Goswami wrote his Lilita Madhava Vidagdha Madhava, when he was there with Haridas Thakur. Yeah, we hear many things, and they're all true. Not necessarily all true, but the ones we hear from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat, maybe a few other places, they're true. But there are different perspectives of seeing the truth are there, depending on our level of eligibility to digest or to understand. The truth is sometimes revealed. So Haridas Thakur is what he is, and from our perspective, he's Namacharya. He's the one we try to, let's say, pray to, follow, and so on. So let's go forward today. Now we discussed not much, but we discussed a little bit today. Generally, we know Haridas Thakur. That's from chanting, isn't he? He's the chanter. We may be enchanted by his chanting, but he's famous for his chanting. It's probably the most famous factor of his presence, isn't it? That he was always chanting the holy name. Kirtaniya Sadahari. Always chanting, day and night. Barely a moment passed. He barely slept. He wouldn't eat until he finished his allotted rounds, and they were more than 16. I don't know how many rounds you chant. Anybody chant 16 rounds here? Nobody? You can chant more. I think it's allowed. Is it allowed to chant more? Does the temple commander or temple president allow you to chant more than 16? What is this? We got things to do. You finish your 16 rounds. Yeah, and they haven't got time to waste chanting. We got things to do around here. Didn't you finish your rounds during japa this morning, right? What were you doing? You nonsense. 2 hours is more than enough. You don't get 2 hours. 1 hour and 3/4 in Soho Street. You get 2 hours and a quarter here. If you're having trouble, move here, okay? More time to finish your 16 rounds. Finished. Get on with your business now. Now, real business. Managing, distributing books, that's all good, of course. Worshipping the deity, going to sleep, that's very important. Taking extra rest. You missed 1 minute's rest last night. Whatever it is, but we sometimes underscore the importance of chanting the holy names. You're welcome. Everyone's welcome. Well, I guess they are. I don't know. Haridas Thakur, welcome to prostitute. You can see there's one of my disciples, not a professional artist. I just have to experiment. She did this painting here. I mentioned yesterday the other 2 paintings are done by one of the permanent artists in the Jagannath Puri temple in Puri himself. He didn't really know much about Haridas, so I wasn't there when he painted, and they wouldn't know exactly what I wanted him to do, but anyway, they're beautiful. And Aryan style of art, you can have a look if you wish. Haridas Thakur is made from the wood from the bakul tree in Siddhabakul in Puri. And Prabhupada is made in Moscow, made in Russia, made of coins which were collected during the Prabhupada book marathon in Moscow. They made the deity from those coins. There are a few of them around ISKCON. More will be coming soon. We've just started. Janmashtami launched the project to make them available for every devotee in ISKCON. And over here is 1 or 2 more. This one is, I don't know what you call it. They spray with some kind of colored sand painting, also done by a disciple in Czech. So I never continued with the project. It was a long project, and I stopped at that point. So usually we hear about him for chanting the holy names, as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again and again. He loved to talk about Haridas Thakur. He loved to talk about all of his devotees. They're like his own parts and parcels. They're his own limbs, practically speaking. Sometimes he would address Haridas like his little boy, little child. Even Sanatana Goswami, when they're together, you're just like my little children. Sanatana was covered in wound, we heard this recently, sores which were oozing pus and stuff. Lord Chaitanya embraced him. Would a mother throw her baby away even if the baby had itching sores? Of course she wouldn't. Said, I'm like your mother. You're just like my little babies. And he embraced them. He would sometimes embrace Haridas Thakur because I'm becoming, and they say, "Don't, my Lord, please do not touch me." And the Lord would say, "I'm touching you to purify myself. You have qualities I do not have. And by your embrace, I may become purified or imbued with those qualities also." So Lord Chaitanya sees his pure devotees. Now stay away. Don't come near me. You're dirty. You're contaminated. Whatever. No, not like that. You can see the real quality inside. So here we see, we won't read that one. Where did we get there? I don't know. When it comes to chanting, the topmost devotee is Srila Haridas Thakur. And it was he who propagated he who propagated the supreme truth about the holy name. Maybe a little bit quieter in the room next door, if possible. I'm sure they're enthusiastically preaching the message of the holy name next door. Maybe a little quieter. And we find that, of course, by the history of his life, and we also find it we mentioned yesterday the book Harinam Chintamani. It's also there. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has revealed this teaching to the world of Haridas and Lord Chaitanya. He preached. He wasn't just chanting. And this is one of the comments. Maybe it'll come up later, but anyway. Lord Chaitanya said, you're the perfect devotee, right? Because you both practice and you preach. You don't just preach and not practice, or just practice and not preach. He did both. How on earth, you could say, how many rounds did he chant a day? 190 or something? 192. Whatever. 300,000 is not 192, but anyway, it's nearby. But we understand he chanted 3 lakhs and sometimes 3 times 64. So it's something like 190 and 192 rounds, whatever. It's quite a lot of rounds. I don't know if you've finished your 64. We said yesterday everyone's going to chant 64 rounds these 3 days. I'm sure you did, because you wouldn't have taken breakfast. I saw some of you eating breakfast. You must have stayed up all night to finish your 64 rounds after the Harinam, right? Didn't sleep. All night chanting. You didn't. There we go. So he's still chanting his 64 rounds. Would be nice, but we can't imitate Haridas' Prabhupada. Well, you'll see. He says we can't imitate him. He preached as well as practiced. He was, of course, his chanting maybe a little quicker to ours. Excuse me, I just kicked the camera. Is it still focused? Okay. So we chant. I don't know how quickly you chant. You chant like 20 rounds an hour? How quickly can you chant? 2-minute rounds? There was one God brother, I remember, he said, wow, this is really good. I'm chanting my 1 round in 2.5 minutes. He says, it's really good. I can be really attentive when I chant real quick. I couldn't work out how that's possible. 2.5 minutes per round. You know how long that takes? You work it out. 16, 32, 40 minutes. Finish your rounds. Pretty good, huh? 40 rounds, finish 40 minutes, 16 rounds. Nothing's impossible. He didn't stay in the movement, though. Nice devotee, but he just couldn't follow, We're not here just to finish the rounds, are we? Speed it up. Come on, put it on, fast speed. Sounds like a pneumatic drill. It's not our business, is it? It's a relationship. It's not just get him out the way so he can get on with life, Get Krishna out the way quick as possible. Finish it. Finished. I will say, now I can do any damn thing I like. I've finished my rounds. We've never finished. Bhaktivinoda said, if you think like that, you Harinam Chintamani, you can read. That's a sure sign of inattentive or offensive chanting. If you think, I've finished my rounds. Yeah, we may say that for the sake of qualification, but we've never really finished. Hence, because he preached as well as chanted, of course we all know the pastime of Jagai Madai, Haridas and Nityananda going preaching all over, but he would preach elsewhere too. And hence he is the Acharya of the holy name, the teacher of the holy name, the giver of the holy name, the worshipper, Kirtankari, the worshipper of the holy name also. Whoever chants the Lord's names, or name, following Srila Haridas Thakur's footsteps, will achieve the highest perfection in it. That's a quote of Jagannatha Pandit in Prema Vaivartas and other literature, which at least it mentions that much about Haridas Thakur. He was known to all the devotees in Puri, highly loved by all the devotees. In Navadvip he wasn't so known until Lord Chaitanya. He wasn't known much at all in Navadvip until Lord Chaitanya started his nocturnal kirtans in the home of Srivas Pandit. Up to that point he'd been associating with Advaita Acharya. Hare Krishna. We have. Yeah. So up to that point he was basically unknown to the Mayapur Vasis and Navadvip Vasis. Then he became very dear to all the devotees. Only when Lord Chaitanya, we hear about that this morning, when Lord Chaitanya revealed to everybody the unknown glories of Haridas Thakur. They didn't know. He'd come in, he was with Advaita Acharya, so he accepted, but they didn't know his pastimes because they took place, many of them, before Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birth. And others took place during his years before he manifested his missionary spirit. So we can keep that door closed if possible. Oh, cheers are coming in, okay. As quiet as we can be. Thank you. Try to hear as we can, and we'll open up for questions at different points if there are any. We're not in such a rush today because there's no Harinam Sankirtan going to tours, unfortunately. Unless you want to go. Nice yesterday, huh? Yes. Not as bad as you expected. France. Oh. People are nice in tours, actually. They're quite friendly. So Prabhupada says the 20th branch, well, Lord, actually Krishnadas Kaviraj writes, the 20th branch of the Chaitanya tree was Haridas Thakur. You know, this is described in 10th chapter of the Adi Leela, and a very wonderful chapter, describing the prominent associates of Lord Chaitanya, the eternal associates of the Lord, who appear with him in his Gaur Leela. They're all eternal associates from Goloka, who appear in his Gaur Leela. Simply the same person, but they expand, they perform their pastimes in the various Leelas as and when necessary, according to the Lord's will. They appear along with him to facilitate his pastimes, bring him pleasure. And like we do, if we go somewhere, we like to be with our family or our friends, don't we? People we can relate with. If you ever go away, sometimes, even mundane, from the material perspective, you meet someone from your hometown, it's like, oh, wow. You feel like you're with an old friend almost, you know. Oh, it's mundane. So I want to speak of spiritual. The Lord sends his devotees into this world. As we may have heard yesterday, Haridas Thakur appeared in this world approximately 35 to 36 years before Lord Chaitanya. Before. Advaita Acharya was approximately 50 years before. Many of them came earlier. Of course, his parents came earlier, his grandparents, obviously. But others also came earlier, Srivas Thakur, Malini. They all came earlier to prepare the way, make everything arrangements for the Lord's appearance in this world. And Haridas Thakur was very much amongst those. In fact, when he was with Advaita Acharya, the Lord had not yet appeared. He was already staying with Advaita Acharya or nearby. The Lord had not appeared. They were praying. It's not just Advaita. Haridas was also praying for the Lord's appearance. I think some of you didn't get enough sleep last night. You have an excuse. Work hard. Even Prabhupada said that about Jayananda when he'd be sleeping during class. If you work as hard as he do, then you can also eat, and I don't know if he said sleep, but you can eat like he does also. Don't imitate one side and not the other. So we shouldn't imitate Haridas Thakur either without having the adhikar or the eligibility or the quality of devotion that he has. And he used to chant the holy name of Krishna 300,000 times a day without fail. Without fail. Oh, I'll catch up tomorrow. Never mind, nobody knows anyway. Nobody ever asked me whether I'm chanting my rounds, so what difference does it make? They used to do things like that, you know. There was, Prabhu, you okay with your rounds? Are you managing to finish your rounds? I don't know if anyone ever asked questions like that, in a loving way, not like in an aggressive no way, but in a loving way ask sometimes. Maybe devotees having difficulty with this chanting. Prabhupada writes in the purport, certainly the chanting of 300,000 holy names of the Lord is wonderful. Wouldn't it be wonderful? I mean, I've known of devotees, I mean, not all the time, but I've sometimes chanted 300,000 names in a day or over a period of days, you know. Difficult to maintain in our, I mean, at our normal pace, most devotees chant about 8 rounds an hour. Is that normal? How many do you chant an hour? I know the truth's coming out.
6.
Huh?
6.
6 an hour? What are you doing? You're the opposite extreme here. Huh? You're pretty dynamic on the Harinam, on the book distribution. You're real fast. But you're really concentrating. Prabhupada said, don't worry too much about the speed, but concentrate on hearing the sound. That's another thing, of course. But still, normally it takes about 8 rounds an hour. That's what Prabhupada wrote that. He said it shouldn't take more than 2 hours to finish 16 rounds. It's there. Prabhupada wrote it. So let's say, anyway, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, whatever. Let's say 8 rounds an hour. How many hours a day would it take to chant 192 rounds? Whoa. Well, I'll give you a clue. There's no time left for bathing, eating, or sleeping. Or anything else come to that. So how many hours a day? 24. You got it. Well done. That was clever. 24 hours a day. Kirtaniya said, how is it possible? No sleeping, no eating, not even time to do anything else. Sometimes we had devotees like that. I remember one devotee in London when I joined. He was Brahmin initiated. So whenever they saw the temple commander coming, he would grab his Gayatri thread and sit there. It was a test of patience. Sometimes 15 minutes would pass. He still had his Brahmin thread wrapped around his finger. Temple commander's pacing up and down like this. You know, and then eventually, usually he would win. The temple commander would walk out the room. You know, he was trying to get him to do some service. So immediately, chanting Gayatri. Prabhu, I've got rounds to chant. We said that this morning. Yeah, I've still got rounds to chant. But there's no one to wash the pots. I'm busy chanting my rounds. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. We can't imitate Haridas. That was his contribution, his service to Lord Chaitanya. No ordinary person can chant so many names, nor should one artificially imitate Haridas Thakur's behavior. We had one devotee when I joined, no, he joined after me. His name was Michael. I won't say his initiated name, you may have heard of him. Quite a renowned devotee in the beginning days. But he wanted to imitate. Prabhupada writes about imitation of some devotees who would try to imitate Haridas. He tried to imitate Raghunath. And he spent, you know, he would sleep not more than 2 or 3 hours a day. And he would only take cold showers. He would only eat food which was thrown in the bin. He would not eat anything else. Nothing. And he would go out on preach also. He would be out on book distribution by 8 o'clock in the morning. Go down the metros, come back about 10:30 and see what's in the bin after breakfast. Take a few scraps, go back out again. Come back after lunch, do the same thing, grovel in the bin. And then go out again, and he'd be up half the night chanting his 64 rounds. Or most of the night, 64 rounds. 10 in the morning program, and 10 in the evening program. It's imitation. You know, it's all premature. I even sometimes in the kirtan, he would fall asleep. I've never seen anyone do that. He would fall asleep in the air during the kirtan. I saw him chanting his rounds underneath the cold shower, holding his beads with the cold shower on to keep awake. Raghunath Das did not do that. Neither did Haridas. He wasn't born out of, passion or false ego or whatever, but born out of simple love for Krishna. In this case, it wasn't. He ended up in hospital with, boils all over his body after a few months, and had to stay there for quite a while as they tried to recover, bring him back to health again. Whole body was like, inside out was damaged. Anyway, that's an imitation, is a bit extreme. So Prabhupada says that no one can really do that, not artificially. It's essential, however, that everyone fulfill a specific vow to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Therefore, we have prescribed in our society that all our students, we mentioned this one, Prabhupada uses the word student again here, all our students must chant at least 16 rounds daily. At least 16 rounds daily. Such chanting must be offenseless. And we haven't not going to get into that. You can read in Harinam Chintamani if you want to go details there. Such chanting must be offenseless in order to be of high quality. Mechanical chanting. Now here Prabhupada is referring mechanical. The word is used in different ways. Sometimes it's just like a machine, and at other times it's used to describe offensive chanting. Chanting without any conscious endeavor, so to speak, The mind wandering all over the place, allowing doubts to come in and dwell on them, material desires, we dwell on them, or just not chanting attentively at all, not even chanting the names. It's just a mechanical exercise. There's no life there. No relation, no life, no conscious endeavor, no awareness practically. It's just you can't even remember if you started or finished your round sometimes. It's just you happen to the beads that say you've done 16. Mechanical chanting is not as powerful as chanting of the holy name without offenses. So here Prabhupada is using offenses. So we begin with offenses. Naturally we're going to be chanting that type of mechanical chanting. But the other type we should not be doing. We should at least try to chant the names and chant on each bead mechanically, try to do that side and try to chant each word and try to hear it and so on. But the offensive side, that may not be, that's perfection. When we're free of all offenses, that's perfection in chanting. So we should at least, Prabhupada said, try to chant without offenses. That's a key. There's a nice prayer. Let's try to learn this one. This is in Harinam Chintamani. In fact, this is the last verse of the Harinam Chintamani in terms of Haridas Thakur's discussion on Namaparad with Lord Chaitanya. You see it? The 13th chapter of Harinam Chintamani, text 59. I don't, unfortunately, have the Sanskrit version, so there's no diacritic marks available, but you can probably get it. Dasa aparada. What is aparada? Pardon? Offenses. What does it literally mean?
Away from Radha?
Yeah, away or, displeasing, against Radharani. So it has a general meaning of offenses, but in a more specific way we could say displeasing or away from Radha. So offensive chanting is not going to bring us very close to Radharani, is it? If someone's offending you all the time, do you feel like associating with them? No. Not much. Maybe if you're into, get your own back on them or something. So aparada, dasa aparada. Yena hridaye napase. Kripa kari Mahaprabhu maji nama rase. Dasa aparada yena hridaye napase. Kripa kari Mahaprabhu maji nama rase. Dasa parada yena hridayena pase. Kripa kari Mahaprabhu maji nama rase. Why don't you try to learn this? It's a nice prayer, I think. And Haridas Thakur was praying like this. Must be a good one. When Prabhupada doesn't mention it, okay. But that doesn't mean there are many prayers. And this is a very relevant one for those who are still somewhat offensive in their chanting. And sometimes people say, well, there's no taste for chanting. How do I get a taste? Someone devotee asked yesterday. It's a nice prayer, which added to other things can be very beneficial. Very beneficial. If someone can find the Sanskrit, the original Sanskrit with the diacritic marks, please, that would be very nice to do. You might find it online, I don't know. And I can put it in with the diacritic marks, all being well. So you can get the right or more correct pronunciation. But it's nice if you want to take a snapshot, or you won't find it in the, you'll find the English, but you won't find the, the Bengali in this case. You won't find the Bengali in the general Harinam Chintamani unless you've got the original one. But the translations don't have it in. At least the 2 or 3 I've got don't have it in. Yes, O Mahaprabhu, he says, please be merciful to me, so that the 10 offenses never touch my heart. O Mahaprabhu, please be merciful to me, so that the 10 offenses never touch my heart. And I can always remain absorbed in the rasa of the holy name. Higher taste, huh? You're begging for that taste of the holy name. When or when will that day be mine? Offenses ceasing, taste for the name increasing. Huh? We sang that song yesterday, remember? Kabi habi bolo sedi namar aparada guchi shudaname ruchi kripa bole habi hridoye sanchar kabi habi bolo sedi namar. When will that day come? No offenses, taste for the name increasing. That's how it goes. I mean, as the offenses go down, then the opportunity, or the, let's say, the awakening of a taste will normally take place. It may not be complete by any means, but there'll be an attraction. An attraction will start to develop. As the sun rises, the mist is dissipated, and the heat of the sun starts to penetrate. So this comes up many times, this higher taste, pranodrishta navartate. We're hankering for that taste. Okay, we're not on that transcendental platform, and we need to come. So we do need to, Prabhupada describes clearly that one must have a taste. If we don't have a taste, we will not be able to carry on. You won't continually eat a food with no taste, unless you're forced to do it, but that's not with love. If we willingly want to eat a food, there must be some taste of some kind in there which is pleasing to us, whatever the reason. You don't work if there's no taste. You may hate the work, but you love the money. There has to be some taste there, something. Something has to be there, some rasa, some mellow taste. Juice has to be there. Haridas Thakur used to chant the holy name on his beads, Prabhupada says here, 300,000 times daily. Many devotees don't even chant 16 on their beads. Throughout the entire day and night, he would chant the 16 names of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. One should not, however, imitate Haridas Thakur, for no one else can chant the holy name 300,000 times a day. Such chanting is for the Mukta Purush, or liberated soul. We can follow his example, however, by chanting 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra on beads, Prabhupada says, on beads, every day, and offering respect to the Tulsi plant. The presence of Tulsi Devi is probably, again, another underestimated, underscored aspect of our seva. And of course, it's not something you've taken lightly either, but at least in the temples, there's usually a Tulsi plant or plants, and we can chant in front of it. Lord Chaitanya used to have someone carrying when he go traveling sometimes, you have someone in front of him carrying a Tulsi plant on their head, and Lord Chaitanya will be walking behind chanting Hare Krishna. Haridas Thakur is famous for chanting in front of Tulsi. A very important part. Tulsi is, again, eternal confidential associate of the Lord. In one sense, you may not realize it, but she has come in this world and she will reveal herself according to our devotion. Pure devotee giving her association while we chant. We have to chant in the presence of a pure devotee for our chanting to become purified, you could say. So Chanting in front of Tulsi Devi is extremely purifying. Of course, if we're not there, we're not much different than the cockroach that's crawling across the floor. But if we're conscious, little conscious, then great benefit is obtained by chanting in front of Tulsi. Prabhupada goes on, this is not at all difficult for anyone, and the process of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra with a vow before the Tulsi plant has such great spiritual potency that simply by doing this one can become spiritually strong. Therefore, we request the members of the Hare Krishna movement to follow Haridas Thakur's example rigidly. If you don't have a plant, then get a picture. And in homes, unless the devotees are really serious and really Krishna conscious, I don't really recommend, because I see so many times Tulsi's, they get a Tulsi with all enthusiasm. Next time you come back, she's not, it's just a what do you call it, stem. There's no, she's left, or whatever you want to call it. And Tulsi's always there, but she's unmanifested her presence, you could say, in many ways. It's not very inspiring for either the householder or those devotees who come, in one sense. So in the home, you're really, really serious. Some devotees have this. They have this loving ability. They have hundreds of Tulsi plants in their homes even. Wonderful. But not everyone has that aspect of devotion. So it's not a whimsical thing. Oh, let me have a Tulsi as well. As if she's some kind of commodity which you have to have. It's a consciousness which is important. And even a picture of Tulsi Devi, reminding us of her unique nature. Therefore, we request the members of the Hare Krishna movement to follow Haridas Thakur's example rigidly. Chanting 16 rounds does not take much time, nor is offering respect to the Tulsi plant difficult. The process has immense spiritual potency. One should not miss this opportunity. Prabhupada's purport in the Anchal Leela. It's a section dealing with Haridas Thakur's pastimes. So we'll just go on a little bit to some of his pastimes. We don't have much time, but I have a lot of time, but you may not have, because you have a schedule. I don't know what it is after this. Prasad is at 2 o'clock, not 1. And obviously we're not going to get very far. We haven't even gone into any pastimes yet, what to speak of. Tonight you'll be getting a little dose of a drama. I think they're doing a drama. What's the drama of the birth of Kalya Serpent or something?
Called Harinama Strikes Back.
Harinam Strikes Back. Harinama Strikes Back.
Harinama.
Yeah, Harinama. Harinama. Sounds like an Australian. Harinama. Harinama, Prabhu. Narada Muni. Narada. They don't say Narada, they say Narada. Narada Muni. Narada Muni. They can't say Narada. Narada. You've seen that? Maybe. That means he has. So anyway, we're going to touch on one subject here. Now, when Haridas Thakur appeared, he appeared in a village called Buron. Pronounced differently, spelt differently. He's now in Bangladesh. He's in the district of Jeshur district near Khulna. That's supposed to be where he was born. All the authorized, let's say, can't say exactly biographers, but authorized devotees who've commented upon this say that he was born in a Muslim family. Prabhupada says that, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that. All the way back we find that this is mentioned. And there are some who say no, he wasn't, but the authorized commentators or those who mention it say he was born, authorized by Bhaktivinoda and Bhaktisiddhanta, born in a Muslim family. We heard that yesterday. This was the Lord's arrangement. You will be born in a Yavana family. Especially, this will be a very essential feature of my mission. That never mind where you're born, who you're born of, everyone is entitled to pure love of God. So he was born in that place. And there's very little, no matter what you read, I've read many things and heard many things from many sources. No one has much idea what happened when he was a child. Pretty much nothing is there. It's only known that as a young boy he left home. For a difference of opinion why. We won't go there, but somehow or another he left home at a young man. Not even sure when, maybe puberty or something like that. He left home at a very young age. There's no mention of details. There's no mention of him associating with a devotee at that stage. There's no mention of him certainly of taking initiation. We heard yesterday, in one sense, he took initiation directly before he was born from Lord Chaitanya. There's no mention of anything after that. Some say, and that's completely authorized, that Advaitacharya was definitely his Siksha Guru. There's no mention of Diksha, but Siksha, yes. So whatever it was, the holy name, as you may know from Jiva Goswami, does not wait for official initiation. Another lesson which he's teaching. Everyone can chant. However, it's not just a matter of I'm chanting, therefore Krishna. It's not like he's obligated. The attitude, the submissive attitude, the humble attitude to other devotees, the surrendered attitude is essential that he had. So whatever the details there are, they're not mentioned. So he went into the forest. The forest is an area called Benapol. You know this name, Benapol. And he stayed there. It was just a forest. There was a town nearby, but he chanted there, born in a Muslim family. He chanted there, and right then he was chanting 300,000 names. Maybe 24 years before Lord Chaitanya appeared in the world, or a long time before. He already chanting 3 lakhs of names in the forest. And it was quite a thing because many people were aware of this. Hindus were also impressed. What is this? Some of them were not. Some of them were disturbed, but many of them were very impressed. What an amazing thing. A Muslim has become a Hindu. This is wonderful. But not everyone was thinking the same way. Some were feeling bad about it. They used to think like that when devotees went to India. What is this? You're a disgrace to Hinduism. You're belittling Hinduism. You're making a terrible show of Hinduism, they would say to us, the Westerners.
Sorry to ask a question. Where did Haridas Thakur heard the mantra first time?
Well, we mentioned earlier, there's no mention in his early life of meeting a devotee. There's no mention of him especially associating with a pure devotee. But we heard yesterday that Lord Chaitanya told him, when he was performing, as Lord Brahma at least, that when he was performing austerities in Antardweep, that in your next lifetime, when I appear next time, not next lifetime exactly, you will appear with me, and your name will be Haridas, and you will chant the Mahamantra, 300,000 names a day. He already told him that. That was already there. And Lord Brahma is not an ordinary person, Prahlad Maharaj is not an ordinary person, and Haridas Thakur is not an ordinary person. So hearing, from our point of view as conditioned souls, yes, we're sadhakas, we're practicing. He has taken the role of a sadhaka as an acharya. Acharya takes the role of a sadhaka. It doesn't mean he is a sadhaka. He is, but he's also more than a sadhaka. He's in his siddha form. He's also eternally liberated. He's not practicing to become liberated. So, satatam kirtiyanto mam, the pure devotees, they're constantly chanting. It's not like, oh, I learned this at school, or I learned this, in a book somewhere, or somebody taught me. It may come over like that, but Haridas Thakur was already naturally inclined. It's already in him. You get that from previous lifetimes even. Sometimes things come up, you don't know where they come from. It's like automatically comes out of us. We discussed that. Maybe we discussed it yesterday, no, I can't remember. But that sometimes happens. But in this case, he's a liberated soul. It's not a question of a memory suddenly turning up. It's a continuation of his eternal position, just appearing in different ways and forms to continue the Lord's mission. So I haven't got a direct answer to that. Usually they do hear from somebody, but there's no mention of that, exactly who he heard it from. But he's chanting 300,000 names, and as you may know, somebody wasn't too happy about that. What was his name? We're getting different suggestions here. They're both correct, but at this point of time in Bainapole, who was it? Ramchandra Khan. He was a local landholder, big man, rich man. He became very envious. Now, what are you taking a picture of that person back there for? What are you looking at like that? What are you up to? You're looking very suspicious, very suspicious. What's going on back there? Nothing's going on back there. Anyway. Huh? No, whatever. But Ramchandra Khan was not at all pleased. Who is this low-class man and people are worshipping him? He's nobody. He's simply a duplicitous imitator. He's not qualified anyway. He was, you could say, a little bit of like a smarter, following the smarter lines. Huh? That you're not qualified to chant the mantras. You're not qualified to study the Vedas. You're not qualified to become a Hindu. You're a disgrace. So he was very envious, extremely envious. Envy is when you become unhappy when you see someone else praised. And you become happy when they're defamed. You're wishing for their defamation. This was Ramchandra's mindset. He couldn't tolerate it. It was like people were respecting his personality. So he devised a plan. Then you all know the plan. What was his plan? He called all the prostitutes in the town together and said, I want you to go. One of you, who will do it in the dead of night? And I want you to tempt Haridas Thakur and prove that he's a charlatan. He's just a cheat looking for name and fame, but actually he's no good for nothing. I will send my officer along, and as soon as you get together, he will arrest him and bring him to his rightful trial. So she said, no, let me first of all, go there and make sure that everything's fine. And then when everything's then next night, then we can do like that. Okay. This one prostitute was volunteered. Her name was Lakira Hirabai. I'll come to her in a minute. Lakira Hirabai. Lakir means very expensive. She wasn't a cheap prostitute. Very, very, she was the richest of let's say the most expensive in the whole area. She agreed to go. So she went, and you know what's there the first night. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare. She came, Haridas Thakur welcomed her, and she said, I'm very sorry, but I've made a vow to chant 10 million names or something in a month, and I'm still chanting my quota. But if you're patient, I will answer whatever desires you have. Don't worry. You sit patiently, and maybe tonight I'll finish. So she sat down. Tulsi Devi was there. Even the prostitutes would offer their obeisance, their respects to Tulsi Devi, and she offered her respects to Haridas. Even they were, respect was there. So all night long she waited. She tried to tempt him in various ways, but nothing was successful. And he kept chanting, I'm really sorry, I've still not finished my rounds, but I'm sure you, if you come back tomorrow, I will finish tomorrow night, don't worry. So she went back, told Ramchandra, and came back the next night, same thing happened. He said, now I've almost finished. Oh, really, I'm almost finished. There's just one day left. I've nearly finished. Tomorrow, I promise you, I will definitely satisfy whatever you wish of me. Because he was a young man, by the way. At that stage, he was a young man. She was a beautiful young lady. So, pretty difficult. Dead of night, alone in the forest, nobody around. Whew. Can you imagine? Not easy, huh? Not easy. Again, something we should never imitate, thinking that we're Haridas Thakur. We're not. Neither are we Ramananda Roy. We shouldn't imitate these great persons. We shouldn't imitate Ramachandra Khan or Ramachandra Puri either, by the way. Either side, you have to be realistic. Not this way or that too, where it would be use a little common sense. But he was undisturbed, completely undisturbed. It was just like a lump of wood was set in front of him. Totally undisturbed. We would get even disturbed if there was a wooden, I don't know about the ladies, men probably would. Ladies may not, I hope not anyway. And, you know what I mean. And so, but he was totally undisturbed. Third night came, she came really, really optimistic, and Ramchandra was optimistic. This night she's going to succeed in the mission. She came and offered her respects all night long. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And she was also going, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Like this on and off, she was chanting the names of Krishna. And eventually, the morning came. I finished my rounds. Now I can do anything I like. I know what you do. I hope not. We possibly would succumb if we lasted that long. And he said, now, please ask me. Whatever you wish, I will fulfill your desires. But it so happened that, especially during the third night, her heart completely changed. She became totally purified and realized what a sinful mission she was on. This is terrible. Her heart just turned around like anything. And she surrendered. When Haridas said that to her, she said, she completely revealed everything. Actually, I came here on this mission, but I'm so sinful. And she just surrendered. Please forgive me. Please accept me. Please. She just surrendered to Haridas. And Haridas said, I know, right from the word moment. I knew before you came what was going on. Well, to speak of when you came. I know Ramachandra Khan sent you here. That foolish person sent you here. I would have left this place immediately. But because you were coming, I knew you were going to come. And to bring you to pure devotional service, I stayed here. Otherwise, I would have left immediately. And now she's come to that point of surrender. So she surrenders to Haridas Thakur. There she is. She's no longer a prostitute now. She's a chaste, surrendered devotee. And she became very famous. Also, Haridas Thakur asked her to give away all of her property to the local Brahmins. Go home, give everything away. Come back here. Stay here. And on this spot, you chant. I'm leaving now, he said. You stay here and carry on chanting as I've been doing 3 lakhs a day. And I can't find it, but I've got a reference somewhere where it's described how he gave her Krishna prema. You cannot give something you don't have. He gave her prema. At what stage, how, nothing described to my knowledge. It said he gave her prema. So from one minute she is considered to be a prostitute, next minute she's a pure devotee, by the power of the association of Haridas. Such is the wonder of his association. And then we probably have another picture somewhere coming up, but it's not here now. So this is, well, let me go back. Well, you may have read it already, it's too late. What is the lesson to learn here? One big lesson. Anyone can. It doesn't mean you will. The word can is a flexible word. In other words, the opportunity is there for everyone. Whether we take it or not is another thing. What's another lesson here?
Neglect the mind.
Neglect the mind. Maybe. You could say that. I think you have to go a little bit further than that. Excuse me?
The holy name is all powerful.
Holy name is all powerful. Putting these two together, yes.
One can be purified merely by association.
A very important point too. That's like another point, isn't it? We got these 2 points are teamed together, make another point. Your point is association, the power of association. Very important lesson. Huh? Extremely important. Did Haridas Thakur start talking Prajalpa as soon as she arrived? Oh, you're very pretty. Where do you get your dress from? No. Well, you didn't ask any, just by his association, she changed. He didn't change by her association. Why?
Because he was already a pure devotee. He was already like that kind of.
He's a pure devotee, okay, above the modes. He had shelter. What was his shelter? He wasn't just... You try controlling your mind? Even in favorable circumstances is difficult, isn't it? Unfavorable circumstance, how are we going to control it? You're faced with the most tempting thing in the universe you can think of. Even he was tempted by Maya Devi herself at another time. Wasn't disturbed. She surrendered to him. Maya Devi surrendered to Haridas, begging for his shelter. Initiate me in the holy name. But we can say, oh, I could do that, but believe me, this wasn't an ordinary prostitute. This wasn't an ordinary woman. And she used all the enchanting methods possible to try to tempt him. I won't go into details, but you can imagine. Can anyone tolerate that? Can you control your mind in that situation? I doubt it. You have to be pretty advanced not to be affected by that. So controlling the mind, ignoring the mind is okay. It's one thing, you could say yes to that, but it's not enough, is it? We're not Mayavadis. That path can lead to Mayavad if it's just all about ignoring the mind. There's got to be something we have to take shelter of. And Haridas showed that. This is one of his most important lessons. Nirantara Namalao. Nirantara means to always chant, always, constantly, taking shelter of the holy name. Nirantara Namalao. There's danger at every step, but this is a specifically powerful challenge or temptation. He took shelter of Krishna and Krishna protects. This is a constant feature in Haridas Thakur's teachings. The importance of actually taking shelter, not just the mechanical, external, distant chanting, but the real taking shelter of Krishna, of Radha and Krishna, in their Namrup. So he took shelter of the holy name and was completely satisfied in that association. You have to have a higher association, which is more satisfying than the most tempting thing you can imagine or we can imagine in the creation. Nothing, all beautiful things in this world. What does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita? 10th chapter. Know that all... Excuse me? Know that all... What else? Huh? Yeah, they're but a spark of my splendor. It may look beautiful. The world around us sometimes looks beautiful, people look beautiful, animals look beautiful. Whatever it is, some things look beautiful, paintings, whatever. But they spring from but a spark of my splendor. Nothing, they're insignificant and not even a drop in an ocean to the splendor of Krishna. That's the essence of taking shelter of Krishna. So, of course, we're not perhaps on that level, so we have to be a little careful. But that's the lesson to be learned here, those 3 or 4 lessons which you've mentioned. Anything else to be learned from this pastime? Chaitanya?
I'd like to ask one question. Some devotees few years ago in Islam, they wanted absolutely that everyone can have darshan of Jagannath, to be able to enter the temple of Jagannath in Jagannath Puri, to have his darshan. However, sometimes
I think this is a little different, isn't it, to the question?
It is related with Haridas Thakur.
Yeah, but my question was, what can we learn from this specific pastime? This particular pastime which we just heard a little bit about. What can we learn from that pastime?
Like, I think she just became purified by listening to that chanting of him.
Yeah.
chanting of him was purely and that completely.
Hearing the pure chanting, okay, is related to association, it's taking it deeper. Any association may be favorable, it may not always be favorable either. Depends what level you're on, and it depends who you're associating with. So that's on a high level, by hearing from a pure devotee submissively, eventually, not initially, but yes.
Understanding that
Okay.
we're impure by nature, but because the holy name is pure in itself, we become purified because it's.
Well, you're pure by nature also, but we become covered over, impure by association. The soul is pure, but we're covered by impurities, that's all. So in the association of the pure name, those impurities are washed off. By hearing from a pure devotee, the impurities, if we hear this, can be washed off. That's a big topic, we haven't got time. Yes.
Some Sukriti from performing service.
Excuse me?
Sukriti from performing service. It tells the.
Secretary?
Sukriti.
Sukriti. Piety
From performing service to where she was bowing down to.
She bowed down. Okay, it's a nice one. She bowed down both to Tulsi and to Haridas, even though a prostitute, who knows. It wasn't by chance, of course we understand that's not by chance. Obviously from her previous life she's had some devotion there. Let's finish it first, huh? She has some devotion there. This is understood. It's not like one-off chance that she alone went to Haridas. You know, we don't know what her previous, I don't know what her previous lifetime was or her history. But there must have been something there which gave her the Bhakti and Mukha Sukriti, allowing her to associate in the first place with Haridas. Not just for a moment on the street, but for 3 consecutive nights to sit there listening to him chant Hare Krishna. Is obviously it's not by chance that she got that opportunity. But I can't comment more on that. I've not read or heard on that one. I understand your point. It's a question we all ask. But that must be there. That something in her previous lifetime or earlier in her present lifetime enabled her to get this a golden opportunity. What else can be learned? Yes.
Underestimate.
Excuse me?
Purifying effects of offering obeisances to Tusipat.
Well, that was similar to the point that's mentioned because she had this sukriti of offering obeisances to Haridas and Tulsi Devi. Therefore, she became eligible to hear the name or receive the mercy of the name. Any other lessons to learn here? Madhura Mampro?
It's kind of similar to what you've already said about taking shelter of the holy name, but with the prostitute and also with Maya Devi, who visited him.
Similar pastime, very similar.
I mean, she was actually more provoking because, you always say that you have to finish your rounds, but he stuck to his guns and he finished his rounds before entertaining anything, so maybe we can take a lesson from that as well, the mind throwing.
Finish your rounds, okay. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, kind of put everything else off till we finish.
Yeah, priority. Getting your priorities in order. So, I mean, of course, it's not always this. We're not in the same situation. We're not sitting in a cave or in a forest. We're in a temple. We have, services and this, that, and the other to do. And we're not Haridas anyway. We can go without sleep or eat. We do have to feed and clothe and what have you. But the principle is there, the chanting of 16 rounds, and Prabhupada just said that. He says, absolutely necessary to finish minimum 16 rounds. It's a priority, most important thing in one sense, in terms of our defined sadhana. Numbers or whatever. Most important path activity. Yes. What was your name again?
Mario.
Pardon?
Mario.
Milo.
Mario.
Mario. Italy?
Yes.
Nice Italian name. How many Italians are here?
3.
3 of you? 3 Italians, my goodness. You're also Italian. Yeah, we have a little Italy in Paris. You should go there and preach. We have, Port d'Italy. Yeah. We were there on Sankirtana. You came with me, Vasik, during the last month. We went there on book distribution. Yes.
It's a very similar point to earlier ones that Haridas Thakur doesn't reject or is not nor attracted nor rejects the.
Good point.
Is in a.
Yeah.
Is
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't pick that up. You picked it up from what Radharaman Prabhu said. That he wasn't for or against. He was equipoised, neutral. Devotee doesn't reject the material energy, nor does he accept it. He sees it as Krishna's energy and how that can be for Krishna's pleasure. Mayavadis reject it. Karmis accept it. Devotees neither accept nor reject. They see this not for it's not mine to accept and reject in the first place. It all belongs, all the beauty. If there's beauty there, it's Krishna's beauty. It's not mine to enjoy or hers to think it's hers. It's Krishna's. So a devotee sees everything from Krishna's perspective. Another angle of taking shelter of Krishna. Any other lessons? We run out of time. I'm just going to finish on this. Yes, Mata?
I was thinking, like, in the same way that Haridas Thakur was able to purify the heart of the prostitute by a pure chanting, in the same way Srila Prabhupada was able to purify the heart of so many hippies and make them into devotees in such a fast way. And so many.
Sometimes it happened on the spot, practically. It was amazing. And even, well, you know, still there are graduals. There's still usually certain things which enable that to happen on the spot. Not always, but usually there are. Some kind of sukriti is already there for that to happen, just like that. And even with the Hirabai, it took, whatever reason, it was 3 nights. That's part of the pastime also, by the way. But it was 3 nights. And, you know, here we have, like, topmost Namacharya, and somebody's obviously got, and it's described, she had Bhakti and Mukha Sukriti. There was already some Sukriti there, which enabled this to transform like that. So there's always got to be some kind of Sukriti. It doesn't always have to be. Krishna can do anything he likes. But generally that's the case. Some kind of Sukriti, a Gyata Sukriti of some kind, is already there for that transformation to take place, so on the spot. So in the case of Prabhupada, we just finished with Prabhupada, yes, there are many cases like that. I can even cite my own case. I briefly mentioned this morning that I was picked up in a basement. Everyone was on drugs. And it wasn't even with Prabhupada, because I already decided never to take drugs again, so there was some Sukriti there. It wasn't Bhakti Sukriti, but some Sukriti was there. I decided never to engage in meat eating again, so some Sukriti was there. I was praying for guidance in spiritual life, so some related to Bhakti Sukriti was there, you could say. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know who. I didn't know how. But I was praying to Jesus for guidance. I need some help. I don't know where to go with my life. So something was there. I wouldn't call it Bhakti Sukriti, but something was there. God knows, he knows. So anyway, that's where that transformation kind of, I don't know, because it's never complete in our case, but that's where it really kicked off. And it wasn't by meeting a devotee, it wasn't by meeting Prabhupada by any means, directly, indirectly. Just by reading, two Back to Godhead magazines. From that day I decided to start chanting Hare Krishna. From that day. That was it. I said, there's nothing else now, this is it. From that day. Yes, Mataji?
It's because, like your story, you just surrendered to the process. And to me, I think that she just surrendered to...
She surrendered to the process? She surrendered to the process. That's another major factor, isn't it, from this? And because she surrendered to his instructions, she also got prema. She got the highest perfection of life. She did exactly what he said. Oh no, I don't need to give these things. I can stay here and just chant. No, that's another lesson, by the way. To come before God, you have to be naked. That doesn't mean what you immediately think it means. It means we're not attached to anything in this world on our own account. We let go of all those subtle and gross, whatever, identities, sarvupadi, vinirmuktam. Let go of those upadis, tutpadavena nirmam. She completely surrendered. Gave everything away. I mean, she was quite well to do. You know, I mean, probably people thought she was crazy. Cut her hair, she dressed very simply like a sadhvi, enunciate. She gave all her wealth away, worshipping Tulsi. That's the positive side, but on the other side she gave everything away. Everything. You know, what happens to us when we come to Krishna God? People think you're mad. You're crazy. You got a degree, You could become a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer or something useful, and you've just thrown it all in the bin, you idiot. You idiot. You'll realize it later on, but it'll be too late. You listen to me. I'm telling you the truth here, boys and girls. You are idiots. You could all be, enjoying yourself in the material world. Driving, we heard this morning back to Chris, is dreaming of a Porsche car. You could have a Porsche car probably. Beautiful, this is not for the ladies, a beautiful girlfriend and all kinds of nice, attractive features. You could have a nice house on the Côte d'Azur, south of France, huh? Right? You could be going to Monte Carlo and enjoying the gambling there. And the big yacht in Cannes, you could go out on the Mediterranean enjoying yourself in your big yacht, then driving your Porsche up the highway towards Paris for a weekend in Paris. And never mind, I get 10 speeding fines on the way. So what? Peanuts. 5,000 euros. Who cares a damn? Lose my license. I just have a chauffeur anyway. Who cares? Doesn't matter. He can lose his license and I'll get another one. You got money. You can enjoy. What are you doing here? Eating lettuce leaves. I saw you eating lettuce leaves yesterday. Sleeping, goodness knows where, on the floor. Look at you, sitting on the floor on a wretched little cushion here. God dear. Look at his watch. It's a plastic one. It's even worse than mine. Look at mine. Giving all your money to that big puffed up guru sitting on that big chair, getting all the respect. Yes, sir, Gurudev, tell me what to do. Jump off the top of the building, right? Yes, Gurudev, whatever you say. You fool. Oh, I'm sorry, Gurudev, you told me to do it. You idiot. You have to understand what it means. You're just a bunch of, called cabbages, huh? Don't know what you're doing. I mean, people think like that, right? Maybe your family said like that, right? So, but she was a very respected person. He gave it all away. If you're nobody, it's not such a big deal, is it? But when you've got a lot and you're highly regarded as, the most important prostitute in town, that's a pretty big position to hold. He gave it all up. Raghunath Das, all up, pum pum. Rupa and Sanatan, pum pum. But they didn't just give it up. They embraced, as you just said, or someone just said. They embraced the direction of the Haridas, the pure devotee. A higher taste. Much higher. Dhruva Maharaj said, what did he say? He approached the Lord, what for? She approached the pure devotee for nefarious reasons. What did Dhruva Maharaj approach the Lord for? Kingdom, greater than his great-grandfather. But what did he say eventually?
As a fool.
I'm a fool, but what did he say?
I was looking for, I found a gem. I was looking for pieces of broken glass.
He compared the whole kingdom of the universe to a piece of broken glass. Compared to the jewel, this invaluable, immeasurable jewel that I've now attained of your lotus feet. I remember one time Radhanath Swami told a similar story in Vrindavan, that one devotee he was staying with, forgotten his name, some of you may remember, before he became a member of ISKCON, this took place. And this devotee was very old and very poor. He lived on the floor. He had no food, nothing, practically just a few chapatis now and again. He had no money, and he was completely satisfied. Wonderful devotee. And he would never talk about his life, never. What is that? Not important. Just worship Krishna. That was his only thing. He had a little deity in a hole in the wall. And so many things. Very humble. Would never accept service from others. One day his elderly lady came to the same place, this temple that they were staying in the whole summer. And she also started doing the same thing as he did. Never. But she spoke English. They both spoke English. And Radhanath, who was not initiated, Richard, asked her, just talking, like loose talking. She revealed who she was. She previously been married to this other devotee, this man, in early life. They were married. They were from Rajasthan. And he was the prince of this area of Rajasthan. He was the next king. There are many states in Rajasthan in those days. Next king. His parents were rich, king and queen. They went when they were young, he was married, he got married. And they all went to Vrindavan for a pilgrimage. They got to Vrindavan, this was a young man, the prince's first trip. He fell in love with Vrindavan. Decided he would never go back to Rajasthan. I'm going to stay here. He fell in love with Vrindavan. The parents said, "You, come on, you're married, you're the prince." No, I'm staying here. "Oh, all right." Said, "Don't worry, we'll come back again. Next time he'll realize he'll come back." This happened a few times. They came back from Rajasthan to Vrindavan to try to bring him back, his wife. And of course, it was devastating for her, I guess. But he wouldn't budge an inch. And eventually he said, "Look, son, we're going to, sometimes they write you off the will when you become a devotee. I know a lot of devotees whose parents wrote them off the will. Many times this happens. They wrote him off the will. You are no longer eligible now. We're going to cancel you," as they say in Facebook. "We're going to cancel you. You're going to be a poverty-stricken beggar. Don't you realize it? For the rest of it. Who's going to look after you when you get old? You're going to be a poverty-stricken beggar for the rest of your life if you stay here." Said, you could have all the riches. You could be the next king. You're supposed to become the king now. Beautiful wife. You're going to have nothing. You'll be a wretched creature. And he said, he picked up one grain of dust from the floor in Vrindavan. He said, "What do I care about the whole universe? Even if you make me the king of the universe, this one grain of dust is unlimitedly more valuable than the whole possession of the universe. What do I care about a paltry kingdom?" They realized he was serious. That was that. And then later on, his previous wife came and did the same thing. Many years later, decades later. That's how we see it. And of course, that's like a negative example, but it gives the understanding that really everything we see of value in this, as we read yesterday, bits of straw, these material pleasure, just like bits of straw upon the ground, valueless. We put so much value on ourselves, on our bodies, on our enjoyment, on our achievements, on our property, on our whatever it is. We put so much value on it. We fight over that. This is the illusion. This is what has to be given up before we can take. You could say they go simultaneously, but for pure devotional service, that all has to be. We have to let go of it. And realize that's real shelter, when we just take shelter to Krishna. Whatever you do to me, my Lord, is the mood of a devotee. We depend on the Lord, totally. Doesn't mean we don't do anything, but we're always in that mood of dependence, that mood of shelter. So she accepted that, she let go of everything else, Sarva Dharma, then pure devotion starts. And she was able then to stay there, continue the legacy, you could say. Haridas went on. But our time is way overdue. We're 20 minutes overdue. And we've only done 1 out of the 8 pastimes I wanted to go through. What to do? Yes.
Would you say for this pastime that just narrates that we should follow by example but not imitate?
Yeah.
Should be the case?
Well, what is the example of? We don't have a historical reference other than that which took place in Antardweep in the case of Haridas, but we do have a historical example in the case of Lakir Hirabai. So she followed completely in his instructions. She did what he said. She didn't do what she thought, what she wanted. He told her to do that. If she wasn't ready, he wouldn't have told her to do that. So we follow in the line of authority. That's following in the footsteps. We don't jump over that and try to imitate like hereby. We don't do that. So that's the following. Follow in the line. Das, 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 anu, das. But what may be given to us may be different to what's given. Even amongst devotees, you don't imitate another devotee. You may try to, you may be inspired by them. You may even have a feeling of wanting to emulate their behavior, but you don't imitate it. You have to become eligible. So you may be given a different directive than someone else, both in your practical activity and in your sadhana. You may be. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj would give sometimes 4 rounds to his disciples as their quota. Sometimes 8, sometimes 16, sometimes 64. It wasn't black and white, as we often hear. So he knew, pure devotees know what is your eligibility and what is good for you. It's like an expert doctor. If you don't know, if you're not a doctor, what will you do if someone comes to you? And Prabhupada tells that example of one apprentice veterinary surgeon, a veterinary doctor, whatever, not surgeon, doctor, who he was an apprentice. He was studying under a qualified vet. And so the first day out on experiment, they came across a horse. He once said, here's a horse. Let's see, this horse had a big lump in its throat. So the vet took a little hammer and went tap, 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 quite hard. Horses got quite tough throats. Boom! Eventually the lemon or whatever it is shot out of it, it swallowed a whole big fat fruit, got stuck in its throat. The fruit popped out of its mouth. The apprentice said, oh, that was pretty easy. Any dude could do that. It wasn't very difficult. Anyway, he was thinking a little bit puffed up. So the apprentice, later on, maybe that very day itself, he was walking home, and he saw a man sitting on a bench. And the man, what's called a goitra, is like a growth in his throat, which is like I don't know what it's made of, but it's very nasty and it's dangerous. So he said, okay, hey, I know what to do. I can solve your problem. Just sit still. Close your eyes if you want. Sit still. He took a hammer and started whack, whack. Ah! The guy died on the spot. Try to imitate. You have to have knowledge, not just, sentiment. Knowledge must be there too, what you're dealing with. The expert doctor knows that that is not the same situation as a horse that swallowed a lemon or whatever it swallowed. Get the point? We have to hear from the right authority what it means and not speculate on these things. We do sometimes, but what is that? Prabhupada said, he writes that, we don't have it here, but in one of his comments on Haridas Thakur, he said, and some of my disciples are trying to imitate Haridas Thakur. They go into Mayapur, they want to imitate Haridas. So he gave them an opportunity in some cases. There's one, I was there at the time, I don't remember his name. One American devotee wanted to imitate Haridas, so I said, okay, you have to go and live out there in the banana plantation in a hut, and all day long and night chant. You can't, you've got to chant, and you don't give classes, no classes, nothing. You eat once a day, you just chant all day long. So he went doing that. Didn't last very long. Another one, he did it, unknown to us. He thought he had cancer, he was about to die, so let me go straight into the deep end and become Haridas Thakur the second or something. But then somehow or another, his visa expired. He had to go back to America, he had another check. They told him, you don't have cancer anymore. Okay, that was the end of being Haridas Thakur. He went back to his life again, It's imitating, It's false, the wrong, completely misunderstanding what it means. And we follow, we don't imitate. You try to imitate Prabhupada. And right on our doorstep, we try to imitate. Who can imitate Srila Prabhupada? Sometimes devotees say, well, Prabhupada never went for Mangal Arati, so I don't go either. One of my arguments. Okay, then you have to start translating from 12 o'clock at night till 5 o'clock in the morning, and write hundreds of letters every day, and give 2 classes a day, and give counseling, darshan, whatever, to hundreds of people every day and travel the world all the time, and deal with all, and this is the biggest austerity of all, deal with all the managerial problems of the movement which you're overseeing. You have to do all that too. There's a nice story too of a king and his minister. The minister was like a bit envious of the king. The king, kings are pretty respected guys. They get all the pomp and glory, He sat there on his big throne. People are coming and bowing down and following his command. And he said, "What's wrong with you, minister? You're a king. You're getting it all. Okay, you want to be a king? You want to be the king? Okay, you can be the king." "Really? Yeah, I don't mind. You can be the king. Come back tomorrow. You can be the king tomorrow." So he came back the next day. The throne was there. The king got off the throne. He said, "Here you go. Sit down." And he looked up. There was this razor-sharp dagger hanging on a tiny bit of cotton right above the head, right above his head. He said, "Wait a minute, what's that?" It's a dagger, razor sharp. "Well, it's just a piece of cotton. It could fall down at any moment." "You're right. But wait a minute, what's this?" He said, "That's what it's like being the king. At any moment, the dagger can fall in your head. At any moment. Maybe you don't see it, but that's what can happen. You're the one. You don't just get one side of the coin. You have to take both sides." They don't realize it. They think it's all, false respect or whatever it may be. But the other side is another thing altogether. That's a material example, but he gives the idea, of course, because it's completely surrendered to Krishna. A pure devotee is, another thing altogether. But still, that's there. They have another kind of consciousness, that paradukha dukhi. They're burning in distress at the pain of other living entities suffering. Look at Haridas. That was his situation. Lord Chaitanya tested him at one point when in Puri, and he called Haridas. And Lord Chaitanya looked very distressed. He looked very distressed. I said, "My Lord, why are you looking?" "I'm so concerned. Okay, the Sankirtan is going on, and the human beings are taking up the chanting, but what about all the non-moving and living entities, the stones, the trees, the other living entities? What about them? You've delivered the animals already in the Jarakan fast, but what about everybody else?" Haridas said, "My Lord, rest assured, there's nothing to worry about. By the loud chanting of the holy name, even the non-moving living entities will be delivered. When you sometimes hear an echo when you chant," he said, "that's the non-moving living entities chanting back." We don't see it like that, but that's how Haridas sees it. Do not worry, my Lord, you've done it. It's being done through the Sankirtan movement. Every living entity is being delivered. Everyone. Everyone. And they're all going to be delivered. And Lord Chaitanya, in a different situation, said, even though they're all been delivered, we hear this also with Vasudev Dat. It's another interesting thing. Vasudev Dat is also Prahlad Maharaj, by the way. So now you've got another scenario. The one scenario was 2 or 3 people appearing as Haridas. Then you've got one person appearing as 2 or 3 people. It becomes equally mystifying to a conditioned soul. So, we did discuss that yesterday, so we won't go there again. But in this particular case, he said, even if the whole universe is delivered, they're all delivered by your mercy, Lord Chaitanya said, because of you, Haridas, because of Vasudev Thakur, Vasudev Datta also. Nobody will notice anything happened. We suddenly think, well, nothing's happening. Everyone's still the same. We don't really know what's going on. Even on this platform, another mystifying thing. We don't really know what's happening behind the scenes, but what we see. That nobody can really, because we're only seeing material, time, matter, space. Pure devotees see beyond that. So Lord Chaitanya said, even if they all go back to Godhead, still the universe will look just the same as it did before, as if nobody left anywhere. He said, because immediately I'll awaken all the dormant living entities who are just waiting, and they will fill up all the apartments, or all the bodies, so to speak, and you won't notice any difference. Well, you won't be there to notice the difference anyway. But it won't. If you were, it wouldn't look like anything's happened at all. Life goes on as normal. Another set of living entities have moved in. And he said, like the prison, Prabhupada describes like a prisoner. You know, just because you released all the prisoners, is that the end of the prison? It'll be full up in no time, don't worry. It will soon, Prabhupada, one person said, look, if Swamiji, you know, if everyone becomes like you, there'll be nobody left. Because one time Prabhupada said, you've understood our mission. That, you know, this material world finished. Okay, that's one way of looking at it. He said, don't worry. First of all, not everyone's going to do it. Anyway, they're not going to surrender. Secondly, there's unlimited living entities. It'll be filled up in no time. Don't worry. It won't be devoid of living entities. There are unlimited living entities, both in this universe and countless universes. It's beyond there. They're everywhere. They're sarvagata. They're living entities everywhere. You can't see. We can't see. Inert living entities. Not conscious. Come to consciousness at one stage or another, and it move immediately. These things can be done by the arrangement of the Lord. Nobody will notice. So it's quite mystifying. So Haridas Thakur was an ocean of compassion for other living entities. He wasn't just doing it for his own sake. He was the manifestation, along with Vasudeva Dutt, of absolute compassion for all the living entities of the universe. We have to finish there. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Haridas Thakur ki jai, Gaur Premanandi. So now it's almost time for lunch. 2 o'clock is lunch today, by the way, on Sunday. And this evening, I think we're having a movie. Is that right? A movie? A movie? I read movie.
Yeah, we've kind of cancelled that.
You cancelled the movie. Oh my God! I got my popcorn and ice cream ready already.
Some devotees were requesting
No
some
movie.
Relaxing time. So,
Oh, we're having a relaxing time tonight.
yeah, so we're going to have a drama though. We're having a drama at 7:30.
Every moment's a drama. Yeah, I mean, what do you mean we're having a drama? Everything in life is a drama. Isn't it? Especially at New Mayapur. When your vehicle broke down yesterday, we went on Sankirtan, Harinam yesterday. The latest vehicle broke down yet again. This is part of your saga. I hope it's okay now. Is it okay? You don't look very confident. You don't know. Well, did you get back in the vehicle? It got back. Gandharvika said we put Krishna in the vehicle and it moved.
Yeah.
What's it called? Blue something? AdBlue. They added blue. They phoned up London to talk to the owner of the hire company. So you have to put AdBlue in there. I don't know why they didn't tell you that before. But you had to put AdBlue. So they added blue, they added Krishna to the engine or whatever it is, and they immediately worked. Pretty good answer. Add Krishna and everything will work. Everything's fine. So did you get back last night with your AdBlue? So anyway, someone said, oh, they thought this was like a big issue. And Lochana said, big issue? This is not a big issue. This happens every single day here at New Mayapur. There's nothing. Every single day there's the electricity breaks down, the water breaks down, a car breaks down, a devotee breaks down. Every single day something breaks, doesn't work. Every single day. It's not like a saga, it's a drama. It's part of the drama. It's all part of the drama. There's a reason for everything. So you're going to have a drama instead of the movie, is it?
Yeah, the drama's called Harinam Strikes Back.
We heard that earlier. Harinama strikes back. This is a great escape. Now you're striking back again. I thought we were trying to escape from all of that. Now you're striking back again. You can't keep them down. You know, they come here for a retreat and there's so much passion. They're going to strike back again. Relax. Take it peacefully. A nice relaxed drama, you know, some lila, a nice. A nice lila. The ladies are doing the drama, are they?
Oh, we have lots of drama already.
You had enough.
Yeah.
You had enough drama here at New Mayapur already. Enough's enough. So you're not doing. Who's doing the drama?
The men's ashram.
The men are doing the drama. Oh my goodness. Are you going to watch?
Yeah.
You are, okay. Open to everybody or?
Yeah.
You better advertise it so that everybody knows. Usually in New Mayapur we have, he just walked out, Fanny Bhushan is our dramatic director. Raja Dharma, sitting over there, is also a dramatic director. They are our drama men, two of them. And yeah, they like their dramas here.
You are the best in drama.
Who is? Why do you say that for? I'm just nonsense. We were together, okay. We were together in Vrindavan on Braj Mandal Parikrama one year. Quite a few years, 15, 20 years ago, I think. Quite a while ago. And Lokanath Maharaj, in his usual spontaneous way, asked me to do dramas every day at in the evening, at the evening program. Oh, what dramas? You have to you have to do it yourself. So every night I would stay up for hours and hours writing the drama. There's no time to rehearse because we're walking all day long. We have like a quick run through with 2 or 3 people who might be in the drama or might not be in the drama. We're having a drama. Who am I? Oh, you're whoever it is, Rikasura or something. I was Rikasura actually. But everywhere we went, we tried to get a drama which was relevant to the various place we were in, spontaneous. And Rajadharma, we were staying together, Rajadharma and myself, in the tent most days, or in a room, or wherever it was. I didn't know he was so good at drama at that time. I don't think did I engage you in the dramas? It was mostly the youth, wasn't it? I mostly engaged the youth, the young boys and girls in the drama, mostly. There's a lot of youth on the Parikrama that year. That was interesting. Yeah, we have no structure. You have it, yeah, but we didn't have any structure there. It was just spontaneous. Wherever you were, you had to do it. I will talk about dramas. Maybe I'll talk about that one tomorrow. The most prolific, profound drama I think I've ever been organized, playing in, etc., was regarding Haridas Thakur. That was in front of about 7,000 audience. I think it was the most exciting and most miraculous drama I've ever been involved in. I'll tell that tomorrow because it's related to the pastime which I have to tell. I can't go without that. Huh? Jagannath Puri. Huh? No, not at all. That's a boring pastime. How many times do you want to see it from different angles? I don't know before we get the point, It's always exciting, though. Every time it's different, Some weird guy playing Madai and, there's always something funny goes on. Different things, they bash him on the head with a pair of cartels or bash him on the head with a bottle or a clay pot or something. Whatever it is, there's always some variety there, but there's a lot more to the story than meets the eye on that one too. But usually it's just a pretty simplistic drama, which is very essential to, obviously you can say it's the thrust of our movement, basically speaking. But no, you don't do that to people you can't do that with devotees. They've seen it hundreds of times. They're all Indian, the whole audience was, Hindi, Bengali, Aryan, like that, You have to do something a little different. Anyway, I'll tell that tomorrow, so suspense. I'm not even going to indicate what it was.
Is it true that one day someone died on the
well, that's what I was told. When I was in Vrindavan, earlier than when we were on Parikrama, we used to do a lot of dramas in Vrindavan and during the festivals. And one of the devotees I worked with was a professional actor. Forgotten his name. He was from Arisan. And he told me that when he was being a young man, his teacher was explaining the essence of drama. And he gave the example of the previous century, one of the most famous Aryan actors and the whole essence of drama is to completely identify. Now this goes on in the spiritual world, by the way. I was reading this morning, it's a bit esoteric, you could say, but this is the nature of the manjaris. That they're completely, they adopt absolutely the whole sentiment of their, whoever they're, Lita Devi or whoever it is. They develop or Rupa Goswami, Rupa Manjari, They completely develop their whole being. They don't have any separate identity practically. They're separate, but they're not. This is being one with God in the real sense of the term. They completely identify with that position as what they are as manjaris. Absolutely, there's no separateness at all outside of that. That's their whole existence. So in dramas like that too, the more you can identify with that role, that part, if you're Advaitacharya, Prabhupada was in drama, he told the stories of when for a year or 2 years, they practiced and practiced and practiced to develop the actual consciousness, as close as one can, of that particular part in the drama. Whether you're Advaitacharya, Haridas Thakur, Malini, whoever you are in the drama, Sita, Thakurani, whoever it may be, to role model. People do that in material life, but they imitate. But this is actually to develop the actual consciousness, not just dress or, They don't depend upon dress. It's the inner heart that has to be changed, not the dress. Not that you dress up like Jarasandha, therefore you're Jarasandha. You have to have the actual mood of that part. So that's what the real training is to develop that mood. They don't even need costumes. They don't need stages. Prabhupada used to glorify Charlie Chaplin. He was like that. He didn't even need to speak. He was so expert actor. Prabhupada said he was an incarnation of Hasya Ras, the humorous mellow, indirect mellow of Krishna Lila. He laughed and laughed when he would see Charlie Chaplin. Seems like Maya. He said, no, I'm seeing Krishna's Hasya Ras personally manifesting here through this person. He had a lot of credit there. And in fact, Charlie Chaplin got Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita in his last days, by the way. Gurudas got it to him. He was living in Switzerland. Anyway, aside from that, that's the art, to completely forget your identity. That's how Maya works. She's the best director of drama. As soon as we come under her influence, you forget who you are. You forget you're a spirit soul. You forget your relation with Krishna, whatever that is. You completely forget it. And you totally identify with the part you find yourself in the material world. As a pig, as a human, even Indra as a pig, he completely forgot he was Indra. You completely identify with the part. Only then can you play. As soon as you start doubting your part, your life's a mess. People suffer from identity crisis now a hell of a lot, even within Maya. Because they don't know who they are, they don't know where they fit in. But the actual essence in Maya is, the more you identify with your part, the more successful you are materially, up to a point. Leaders, they totally identify, I am the leader, and I am the leader, and I am the leader, and you are not the leader, I am the leader. And their whole life is, based on this, whatever, businessman, the same thing, a housewife. You identify with it, and you live that part, no matter what happens around you, that never stops to the day you die. You live that part. So in dramas are like this. He told me that in Orissa there was this one actor. He was so famous. He was such a good actor. This is back in the 19th century. He was so expert. He would so expertly portray the part of the drama. You really felt like you were living it. It was like fully alive. It wasn't just reminding you. You actually felt it was there right with you. So one drama, he was playing the role of Nrsingadev. Playing the role of Lord Nrsingadev in this drama. And literally speaking, on the stage, platform, whatever it was, he physically ripped the stomach open and tore out the intestines. He got so absorbed in the drama, he was completely oblivious to who he was and what was going on. He was just so angry with Hiranyakashipu. He was so angry with the demigods. He was so angry. He just wasn't him. He just ripped the guy to shreds. Blood everywhere. The guy died on his lap. It was like, everyone's aghast. It was like, wow, this is an example of don't imitate. He wasn't imitating, by the way. It became a court case, obviously. And those days, there was a little bit of, spiritual understanding. And again, they tested him from every single angle. They were he had no idea that this happened. None. He had no recollection whatsoever. And they were convinced it wasn't him. It was like the divinity came through him and did it, not him. And he was acquitted. But he was banned from drama for a while. He came back in after a while, and we were going to be very careful what part we give him from now on. He's dangerous. It's a dangerous situation, especially for the other person. No more Nrsinga days for him, And so anyway, later on he got the part in the drama as Ramayana. He got the part of none other than Dasarat, the father of Lord Ram. And when in the drama, when Lord Ram left Ayodhya, he dropped dead on the stage. He couldn't tolerate living anymore. He dropped dead on the stage. That's an actor. Now we're not saying you should imitate that, please. But that's the real stuff, That's the real thing. Whew. In one sense, the demons are like that. In one sense, in many cases, they're like actors on the stage for Krishna's drama, isn't it? They're completely forgetting who they are. I mean, even Duryodhana, Prabhupada says he's an eternal devotee of Lord Balaram. He's not a demon. He's acting as a demon. But he's actually Lord Balaram's eternal assistant. That's why Balaram always loves him. He couldn't tolerate, he had to because it was, the pastime. But he couldn't tolerate, Bhima killing Duryodhana or Arjuna, getting in the way in a marriage in Subhadra. She was meant to be married to Duryodhana. Balaram couldn't tolerate all this. He had to leave, because Duryodhana is his servant, playing the role of a demon in this pastime. There's much more to it than meets the eye, even in these pastimes. Playing parts. But you've got to play the part, you completely forget. Hiranyakasipu, no consciousness whatsoever that he was Jai or Vijay in Vaikuntha. Completely none. You have to be absolutely envious, absolutely lusty, absolutely angry. Personification, practically, of those qualities. Fear, in the case of Kamsa. Almost like materially speaking, as close as you can get to a personification of those qualities. Otherwise you can't really play the part, properly. You'll be scared. Be scared stiff. I mean, Hiranyakasipu wasn't even scared by Nrsingadev. Who is this strange creature? What is this strange creature that's come before me? Half man, half lion. What is it? He was ready. He got immediately ready to go for him. Even Duryodhana had brushed off the universal form, just like an LSD experience or something. It was nothing. Yeah, they're not ordinary characters. Huh?
You said the manjaris are fixed in a row as manjaris.
Manjaris.
Where does rasa vas come into that?
It doesn't. It doesn't. Not to that. There is no rasabhas. That's their constitutional. It's not like the jiva who may develop that mood. For the eternal associates of the Lord, the Nityasiddha, there is no rasabhas. It's rasa. Everything is perfectly harmonious. They're playing their part. A rasabhas is, say, for instance, a simple example maybe, when your foot tries to, and maybe there's certain exceptions, it has to do it, but when it tries to act like the hand, that's a rasabhas. It has its role. The role of the foot is to walk or do whatever it does. The hand is to pick things up and this and that. That's harmonious with the whole. But when the part plays the unharmonious place, that's rasabhas. We're in rasabhas right now. The whole material world, from the spiritual point of view, is rasabhas. We're trying to adjust that to become rasa. This movement is to awaken rasa. So you have to understand in the process of devotion and service the difference between rasa and rasabhas. Otherwise we make gross errors. Try to imitate the behavior of certain devotees we have no eligibility for, speculate on it, interfere with someone else's progress in spiritual life because we're envious. etc., etc. There's a room for, there's variation in the spiritual world, and you can see that in Nectar Devotion, how different secondary rasas, the indirect ones, like humor was one we mentioned just now, or horror, these different secondary, they're compatible in certain places in the positive ones, but not always. Then they become rasa basa when the wrong humor is in that. It's like the relationship between Mother Yasoda and baby Krishna. There's no room there for conjugal love. No question of that. There's no room there maybe for horror or something like that, mother and child, But in another relationship, there may be, you see. It becomes rasa basa if the mixing. It's like food. You take lunch, and sometimes there's a rasa basa in the cooking, right? Instead of salt, they put sugar, or sugar and they put salt. That's a real extreme example. When someone puts salt in their sweet rice, sweet rice, kheer, and you put salt in instead of sugar. What is this, This is really a rasa bas, you say. Or people coming together, they just don't mix. You put two people together, they're never going to agree. At least not at their stage they're in now. So rasa bas, you have to know what is compatible. What is compatible? The internal associates are all expansions of the divine form of Krishna, or Radha and Krishna. There's no question of them becoming, Abbas. There's no question of that. No question. They're their own personal expansions for the fulfillment of their own inner desire. We're different. We're Tatastha Shakti. We're not the same Shakti. You can develop the mood of that Shakti, but you can't become that. You can be in that association, in the same spirit, the same mood. You don't become like that. You can have the same mood as a Nitya Siddha, but we're Nitya Baddha. We have that marginal tendency. Tatastha Shakti, Jiva Shakti, they're different Shaktis. Has different characteristics. That choice is there, the Jiva Shakti, to go this way or that way, or stay where you are. Or enter Brahman, or whatever it is, living entities. Just. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Shri Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki jai. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. We didn't go there. Boing, there it is. My dear Gargamuni Swami, those who've left have missed the nectar. It is the duty of the male members, boys, you have to be careful, to be very steady and cautious. This can be done by regular chanting like Haridas Thakur did. Whenever there is a young woman, we should remember Haridas Thakur and beg his mercy to protect us. And we should think that these beautiful gopis, means the young girls, are meant for the enjoyment of Krishna. Simple. Pretty simple. Easy said, not so easy to do. And there you go. There's another one which we'll leave till tomorrow. Hare Krishna. That was a letter to Gargamuni Swami. Hare Bo, Jai Prabhupada.